Ladies and gentlemen, Garry Moore.
Hey there, fellas. Happy Friday. Thank you, and welcome to Tell the Truth. Now, our first guest today, I hope I haven't wrecked things here. Our first guest today is a palm reader who has devised a wonderful way for anybody at all to read his own palm. Now, as you see here, this is a print of a hand that happens to be my hand. Now, all I have to do to make this thing work is to compare it with a group of cards that come packed in a box, and I pick out from these specific cards the lines that match up with the lines on my hand. And I tried it before the show, and really it's remarkably accurate. Where's the book that was in here? Yeah, you see, after you've matched the lines up, you look into this little book called Touch, which is the name of the game. And it tells you about yourself, and it says here, my real name is T. Garrison Morfitt. I was born on January 31st. My wife is called Nell. I have 2 sons. I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I'm double jointed in my right thumb. And that's true. You want to see? Isn't that absolutely disgusting? I think so. Anyhow, it also goes on and says, you better hurry up and introduce the panel or we'll never get to play to Tell the Truth. So, let's meet the group.
Kitty Carlisle. Tom Poston. Peggy and Bill Cullen.
Well, I hope I didn't disturb things up here, but I don't think I did because we're going to use them a little later on. But now let's meet the lady who can read hands.
Oh, I love that.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Maxine Field.
Number 2.
My name is Maxine Field.
Number 3.
My name is Maxine Field.
All right, panel, our job is to find out which one of these 3 ladies is indeed Maxine Field, and let's listen to her efficomen. I, Maxine Field, analyze hands. I am not a fortune teller, but a scientific analyzer of hands. I not only read the head, heart, fate, and lifelines, but can make judgments based on the general shape of the hand, the curve of the thumb, the smoothness of the knuckles, or even the way a certain individual uses his hands. Actually, this study is becoming more scientific. It is being used more and more by doctors as a diagnostic tool to reveal congenital heart problems or genetic defects. However, hand reading can still be fun. I have devised a game which makes it easy for anyone to learn. The game is called Touch, and it includes cards showing the different kinds of lines in the hand, as well as the different hand shapes. Using the cards from my game of Touch, today I will read the hands of the panel. Signed, Maxine Field. So, panel, if you have anything to hide, you better take your crayons and rearrange your lines while we listen to a few commercials out here. Now, panel, remember that these 3 ladies all claim to be Maxine Field, who can read hands, and we'll start the question with a lady who said, oh, goody, as soon as the whole thing started. Peggy, let's go with you.
Thank you. You know, believe it or not, I have the game Touch. It's really fun. Now, number 3, how can you tell a genetic defect from the hand?
Well, there are many ways by which you can do this, but one of the most apparent would be a simian line.
A what?
A simian line.
Is that in a monkey?
Well, it's a fusing of the heart and head lines, and monkeys do have it.
Number 1, have you ever heard of a lady called Doris?
No, I haven't.
Oh, gee, you never met anybody named Doris. Well, there you are. Now, number 2, can you tell when I'm going to die? And if you can tell, don't tell me. I mean, well, hint.
No, you can't. You can't tell.
No?
No, you
But
can't.
I thought there was a thing called a lifeline.
No, yes, it's called a lifeline, but you can tell.
I know, Peggy, but I ain't gonna tell. Let's go to Bill.
I know Doris.
You do?
Plaza 94539. Oh, excuse me. Number 2, what in my hand would... Now, you said heart defects. Now, what happens that tells my hand, that puts something in my hand when my heart doesn't work so well? Number 2. That's a silly question.
Well, that has to do with Jupiter and Neptune. It's very complicated, some kind of thing.
Jupiter and Neptune are in there?
Yes.
Number 1, I have one of your cards here. Can actually I read somebody's palm by referring to similar characteristics on the card?
Yes, exactly, but there are several cards for each characteristic, so you pass around the cards or you look at several cards until you find your own line on it.
Thank you, Bill, and that takes us down to Kitty.
Gosh, this is fascinating. Number 3, I only have one great big long line across here in my right hand. What does that mean?
That's a simian line.
And what does it mean? I'm a monkey.
No, it means that people who have this are usually very unusual. The normal people who have it, they're extremely talented and they have a great...
You're retrieving yourself, kid. Now I saw, number 1, I saw one of the cards here, and my girdle of Venus is broken. What does that mean?
Well, it means you have some conflict. I don't know whether I should answer that one, but it means
I
you
have a conflict in my heart.
in your love life, yes.
I see. And number 2, how can you tell?
See, my girdle of Venus. Where's my girdle?
That crazy Cullen. I don't know if you heard that. Kitty says, my girdle of Venus is broken. What does that mean? And Cullen says her stockings are going to fall down.
First thing I thought.
Let's get to... Has everybody questioned that? No, Tom.
Well, I'll question a few if you don't mind.
Carry on, old man.
Number 1, where did you learn this?
Well, I read up on it. I was working for a fashion magazine and doing a glove promotion, and we decided to give it a palmistry theme. So I read Sir Lewis Hayman's book, and then I got involved. I got very interested, quit my job, and here I am.
Thank you. Number 2, you consider it a science?
Yes, it is. It's not fortune-telling, it's science.
Number 3, are you going to read our palms?
No.
Is anybody going to read our palms? Aren't they going to tell us something?
That's a bit of a weasel for an answer. You're going to read your palm prints.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's why I'm answering.
Oh, I hope I'm going to be lucky and...
Okay, and that does us in there. We got to make up our minds, and we must make our imprint on our ballots. Oh, yeah, sure. With your little palm right on there, a 1.
I can't decide.
Or right on there, a 2. Or right on there, a 3. In any event, it's going to cost $50 for each wrong writing, and $500 if all the writing is rotten, okay? And Peggy can't start.
Well, number 2, I believe, is a Hungarian. But I think they put her in there for sneaker. I truly think it's number 1.
You truly think it's number 1?
I'm very psychic.
And there we go to Bill Cullen.
That's strange. I think number 1 is a Hungarian. And for that reason, I voted for number 3. She's hung up on a simian line, but I mean, she sold me the whole thing.
All righty, and that takes us these to Kitty.
Well, I voted for number 3. I thought she had the usual thing of you forgive me, but fortune tellers generally tell you 2 things at once. First, you said I was like a monkey, and then you said I was unusual and talented, and so I can take my choice. I voted for number 3.
On that basis, we've got 2 for 3 and 1 for 1. And Tom Poston, what do you want to do?
I voted for number 2 because, you know, you have to put that black ink on your hands to take these prints, you know, and I noticed that her fingernails were a little dirty, so
You want to apologize now?
Terrible, man.
It's all right if you're Hungarian.
That's even worse. Just for that, for the next 2 weeks, you answer the fan mail. Let us get back here and find out about this. Will the real Maxine Field please stand up? Maxine, we'll be back to you for your revenge in a moment. Let's find out about number 1. Number 1, what is your real name, please, and what do you do?
I'm Charlotte Lipson, and I'm with Yardley of London, the cosmetics company.
And number 2, you got one wrong vote. What is your real name, please?
My name is Josephine Romflaat, and I don't do nothing.
Yeah, marvelous.
But you're pretty.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I do the same thing she does, only I get paid for it.
He's more fortunate than...
Now, Maureen, I understand that as well as analyzing hands, you have something to do with hand care, beauty care for your hands? What is that?
Yes, I'm a consultant with Cheeseboro Ponds for their new hand lotion. And actually, what I do is hope to make women love their hands and use them more.
Well, we'll find out whether or not the people love their hands, but if you'll join me here center stage, we're going to read some palms and over here.
Okay.
Now, I think this, I don't know, I'm not sure whose that is. Who is that?
That's Kitty's.
That's Kitty.
Right. Now,
Okay.
Kitty said, I only saw one of her hands, and if she has a simian line, actually, I'm a hand analyst, I'm not a fortune teller, but actually, a simian line, people do think of it as being, belonging to a monkey. But normal people who have it have an extremely brilliant, artistic, creative bent, and they have an agonized kind of sadness to them, and that's what I meant. It really wasn't, you know, both ways. You have a beautiful star of Apollo under your ring finger, which shows a gift for languages. You'll always be in the limelight. If you're not in the limelight, you'll be with people who are. You had an almost complete idyllic situation. You've had 3 great changes in your life. One was rather sheltered and rather involved. Then something happened where your life and your fate, you had something that most women would want, a great, beautiful harmony. It's ended, and now you're on to something else, and you're starting something new. You are a battler, and you're quite a strong lady, and I admire you.
It is so close,
thank you.
it's
You
breathtaking.
got to give me goose flesh.
Now, we're going to have to move,
All right,
along
this is Tom's. I know it immediately. Now, Tom has a rather, he could have been a lawyer. He's very hung up on logic, and he is really a romantic. He's in love with the idea of love. He wants to be in love, but he doesn't like the reality of it. And this is, he can be tremendously hurt through women. This is his one Achilles heel. And I think he has been. But you know, it's been kind of rough for him up until now. But you know, later life will be much more fortunate. You're on to something very good and will continue to be. You're a man of many parts. You would have made an excellent lawyer. You're a very bright man.
Tom called Doris, Plaza 60973, whatever that is.
And this is Peggy. Now, Peggy wouldn't take the $2 and run. Not only wouldn't she go, she'd hit the guy with her purse. She does have a line of intuition, very, very strong. She has a very, very strong headline, but it splits in a wide fork, so it means that she's so talented, she doesn't finish one thing before she's on to the next. She's extremely impulsive. She has a broken girdle of Venus, which makes her very emotional, and you know, she really wants to be taken care of by a man. None of this woman's lived for her. She's a very feminine lady. Really.
Then she's been
But she's
feminine.
very possessive. She wants to own him, and she wants him to be her man, and then she'll do anything for him. But she's really quite feminine.
Just change my mind.
Yes.
Don't call Doris, call Peggy.
Bill. That's true.
Yes, Bill,
Peggy's pretty good to call. She's quite a gal. Now.
That's a commercial.
Now we have Bill. Now, I'd like you to notice all of these lovely people have had one thing in common, this separated small finger. But with Bill, it's way apart from the rest of his hands. It's remarkable. It wants nothing to do with the rest of the fingers.
It's a graft.
No, it tells me that some psychological bias was set up here. That there might have been some over emotionalism, or that he might have been too self-protected or protected as a child, or some kind of illness here. But this set up a psychological bias that this man wants to do everything himself. His way, he's tremendously independent. He wants nothing for nothing. He's marvelous around groups. He'd be very good in politics. He has a great, great feeling for people. He has magnetism. He can lead them. He's a
We
very...
are out of time,
Oh, no, go
Gee,
right on.
No, I will talk to you after the show. And a large hand for Marion Barrett and friends. Thank you so much for being with us on the show. Now, friends, by way of introducing our next spot, let me show you all a few comic books. Now, as I guess most everybody knows, comic books are not as funny as they used to be. Instead of comics as such, they feature the daring adventures of such superheroes as Spider-Man over here and Captain America. Now, our next guest today creates this kind of comic book. We'll meet him after a few adventurous commercials. Now let us meet our comic book creator.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Stan Lee.
Number 2,
My name is Stan Lee.
Number 3.
My name is Stan Lee.
All right, panel, now here is Stan Lee's affidavit. It says, I, Stan Lee, write and edit comic books. My specialty is and has been superhero comic books. Comic books have long been a major part of the American cultural scene, but I have been active in updating and modernizing the cartoon heroes and their adventures. It used to be that the muscular He-Man with cape and mask had as their traditional enemies all kinds of creatures from outer space and from distant planets. But my superheroes also battle the forces of evil found right here on the planet Earth. Today, if you flip a comic book, you may discover Spider-Man in the midst of a campus riot, or the Fantastic Four losing money on the stock market, and Captain America, along with my latest creation, the black superhero Falcon, teaching ghetto youngsters not to trust their local drug pusher. Signed, Stan Lee. And Tom Poston, what do you want to ask?
I presume, number 3, that's when it says you write and edit them. You don't actually draw them, is that
No.
correct? Number 1, Stan Lee, has that always been your whole name?
Yes.
In other words, it sounds like your name might have been Stanley something, and you...
Well, it is Stanley Lee. Really.
Stanley Lee. Thank you. Number 2, who asked you to write them in the first place? Instead of, didn't traditionally all the artists wrote and drew their own things at the same time, didn't they?
Yes, they did originally, but after a while, they got too busy to do their own stories, so the writers began to do them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. That takes us to Peggy.
Thank you. Number 1, who's Captain Midnight?
He's another cartoon character.
Thank you. And number 3, in a very big popular movie, there was some guy called, I think, Captain America. Do you know what movie that was?
I don't remember the name of the movie, but that Steve Rogers played that part.
Thank you. Now, number 2, who draws Peanuts?
Charlie Schultz.
And number 2, who draws Blondie?
Chick Young, I believe.
And number 1, Peanuts always comes out in hardcover. Is that the only comic book that's really always produced in a hardcover before it goes into paperback?
Oh, no, there are others that have been produced.
Number 2, how much money is...
And from Peggy, we go to Bill Cullen.
Number 2, these comic books that you're talking about, do these like Captain America, he's in a comic book. Is he also in a regular daily strip in the newspapers?
No, he isn't.
Number 3, are there any comic strips other than Peanuts that you read daily in the papers that are a success in comic books?
Not generally.
Number 1, I had a favorite when I was a kid, Tilly and Mac. That was good.
Tilly Mac was good.
Tilly and Mac, and then it was Dagwood and Blunt. Number 1.
Welcome to the Medicaid show.
I'm not that old. Number 1, did you have a favorite comic book when you were a kid, or a famous comic character?
Prince Valiant, yes.
Does the name not help?
And from Bill, we go on down to Kitty.
I'll take your question, Bill. What was it?
It was an unfair one, Kitty. It
All
was
right.
a name, and it's...
Number 3, it says here that your heroes battle the forces of evil, and the Fantastic Four lose money on the stock exchange. Do you believe that the stock exchange is a force of evil?
No, it wasn't intended as such. It was intended to show that they're very human and believable characters.
And so they too can lose money on the stock
They too can lose money on the stock exchange.
Number 2, do you believe that it's bad for children to learn how to read comic books, or do you think it gives them a taste for literature that, you know, better read comic books than nothing?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Better read comics than nothing. Comics are actually very well written
Thank you.
today.
Number 1, does Mr. Cap write his own captions and do all the well, what have I said wrong now?
Al Cap.
Yes. Does he do everything himself, right? And he does. And number 3,
And that does it. On that information, we must mark our ballots. And as usual, we put on them a 1, or we put on them a 2, or we put on them a 3. It costs us $50 for each wrong vote, $500 if all the votes are wrong, and Tom Poston starts.
I do start. Well,
You
it
do.
just happens that I had a simple figure to make, so I was ready in time. I voted for number 1, because he looks like somebody named Stanley.
All right, and Peggy?
I voted for number 2 because I think he's cute.
Hey there, forget Doris. Call Peggy. Here you go. Got 1 and 1 and 2, and Bill Cullen and what?
Well, I voted for number 2 for another reason. Yeah, actually,
That's what he says.
I voted for number 2 because he came up with a lot of names of artists, comic strip artists. And I had a great question, but I didn't have time for it.
Okay,
So I
it's
voted for
2
number
for 2 and 1 for 1, and we go to Kitty.
I voted for number 1 because I think he looks like Prince Valiant.
And on that basis, you've got, there we go, Will the Real. Stan Lee, please stand up. There's Stan Lee. Thank you, Stan. We'd like to talk to you in a minute if I can. Number 1, you got 2 wrong votes. What is your real name, sir, and what do you do?
My name is James Deegan. I'm an industrial designer specializing in kitchens, and I live in Peekskill, New York.
And number 3, your problem is you just don't look worried enough to be a writer. That's your problem. What is your real name?
My name is David Saunders. I'm the resident tax auditor for the state of California.
And he's laughing. Stan, how many comic books have you written over the years?
Well, for about 30 years, I've never written less than 2 a week. So if you're good at multiplication, I guess I've written more than any person living.
More than Tolstoy and all of them put together?
Maybe not better, but more.
Been fun having you here, and thank you very much, and thank you, imposters, for being with us on To Tell the Truth. Well, Tom, we can't call it a week without saying what a joy it was to have you back with us, Tom.
Here, here.
And panel and friends.
That's very nice of you. Thank you, Gary. It's a pleasure to be here. And good night, Doris. Wherever you're.
Hi, Doris.
Good night, everybody. We will see you come Monday.
In addition to the cash awards, our central characters today will receive Terra, a carousel wig, shaggy back, side temples, bangs, and a crown of curls, an easy care 100% monocrylic wig from Carousel. Transportation and other considerations provided by Chevrolet, featuring the 1971 Chevelle, America's most popular mid-size car. New bumpers and grills, same solid, dependable performance at a Chevrolet price. This is Johnny Olson speaking for To Tell the Truth, a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.
First thing I thought of.
Let's get to... Has everybody questioned that? No, Tom.
Well, I'll question a few if you don't mind.
Carry on, old man.
Number 1, where did you learn this?
Well, I read up on it. I was working for a fashion magazine and doing a glove promotion, and we decided to give it a palmistry theme. So I read Sir Lewis Hayman's book, and then I got involved. I got very interested, quit my job, and here I am.
Thank you. Number 2, you consider it a science?
Yes, it is. It's not fortune telling, it's science.
Number 3, are you going to read our palms?
No.
Is anybody going to read our palms? Aren't they going to tell us something?
That's a bit of a weasel for an answer. You're going to read your palm. Prince.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's why I'm answering.
Oh, I hope I'm going to be lucky and...
Okay, and that does us in there. We got to make up our minds, and we must make our imprint on our ballots. Oh, yeah, sure. With your little palm right on there, a 1.
I can't decide.
Or right on there, a 2. Or right on there, a 3. In any event, it's going to cost $50 for each wrong writing, and $500 if all the writing is rotten, okay? And Peggy can't start.
Well, number 2, I believe, is a Hungarian. But I think they put her in there for sneaker. I truly think it's number 1.
You truly think it's number 1?
I'm very psychic.
And there we go to Bill Cullen.
That's strange. I think number 1 is a Hungarian. And for that reason, I voted for number 3. She's hung up on a simian line, but I mean, she sold me the whole thing.
All righty, and that takes us these to Kitty.
Well, I voted for number 3. I thought she had the usual thing of you forgive me, but fortune tellers generally tell you 2 things at once. First, you said I was like a monkey, and then you said I was unusual and talented, and so I can take my choice. I voted for number 3.
On that basis, we've got 2 for 3 and 1 for 1. And Tom Poston, what do you want to do?
I voted for number 2 because, you know, you have to put that black ink on your hands to take these prints, you know, and I noticed that her fingernails were a little dirty, so I
Please do have it.
Number one, have you ever heard of a lady called Doris?
No, I haven't.
Oh, gee, never met anybody named Doris. Well, there you are. Now, number two, can you tell when I'm going to die? And if you can tell, don't tell me. I mean, well, hint.
No, you can't. You can't tell.
No?
No, you
But
can't.
I thought there was a thing called a lifeline.
No, yes, it's called a lifeline, but you can tell.
I know, Peggy, but I ain't gonna tell. Let's go to Bill.
I know, Doris.
You do?
Plaza 94539. Oh, excuse me.
Call after 7.
Number two, what in my hand would... Now, you said heart defects. Now, what happens that tells my hand, that puts something in my hand when my heart doesn't work so well? Number two. That's a silly question.
Well, that has to do with Jupiter and Neptune. It's very complicated, some kind of thing.
Jupiter and Neptune are in there?
Yes.
Number one, I have one of your cards here. Can actually I read somebody's palm by referring to similar characteristics on the card?
Yes, exactly, but there are several cards for each characteristic, so you pass around the cards or you look at several cards until you find your own line on it.
Thank you, Bill, and that takes us down to Kitty.
Gosh, this is fascinating. Number three, I only have one great big long line across here in my right hand. What does that mean?
That's a simian line.
And what does it mean? I'm a monkey.
No, it means that people who have this are usually very unusual. The normal people who have it, they're extremely talented and they have a great...
You're retrieving yourself, kid. Now I saw, number one, I saw one of the cards here, and my girdle of Venus is broken. What does that mean?
Well, it means you have some conflict. I don't know whether I should answer that one, but it means
I
you
have a conflict in my heart.
In your love life, yes.
I see. And number two, how can you tell?
See, my girdle of Venus. Where's my girdle?
That crazy Cullen. I don't know if you heard that. Kitty says, my girdle of Venus is broken. What does that mean? And Cullen says her stockings are going to fall down. You want to apologize now?
Terrible, man.
It's all right if you're Hungarian.
That's even worse. Just for that, for the next 2 weeks, you answer the fan mail. Let us get back here and find out about this. Will the real Maxine Field please stand up? Maxine, we'll be back to you for your revenge in a moment. Let's find out about number one. Number one, what is your real name, please, and what do you do?
I'm Charlotte Lipson, and I'm with Yardley of London, the cosmetics company.
And number two, oh, you got one wrong vote. What is your real name, please?
My name is Josephine Romflaat, and I don't do nothing.
Yeah, marvelous.
But you're pretty.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I do the same thing she does, only I get paid for it.
He's more fortunate than...
Now, Maureen, I understand that as well as analyzing hands, you have something to do with hand care, beauty care for your hands. What is that?
Yes, I'm a consultant with Cheeseboro Ponds for their new hand lotion. And actually, what I do is hope to make women love their hands and use them more.
Well, we'll find out whether or not the people love their hands, but if you'll join me here center stage, we're going to read some palms and over here.
Okay.
Now, I think this, I don't know, I'm not sure whose that is. Who is that?
That's Kitty's.
That's Kitty.
Right. Now,
Okay.
Kitty said I only saw one of her hands, and if she has a simian line, actually, I'm a hand analyst, I'm not a fortune teller, but actually a simian line, people do think of it as being, belonging to a monkey. But normal people who have it have an extremely brilliant, artistic, creative bent, and they have an agonized kind of sadness to them, and that's what I meant. It really wasn't, you know, both ways. You have a beautiful star of Apollo under your ring finger, which shows a gift for languages. You'll always be in the limelight. If you're not in the limelight, you'll...
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Maxine Field.
Number two.
My name is Maxine Field.
Number three.
My name is Maxine Field.
All right, panel, our job is to find out which one of these three ladies is indeed Maxine Field, and let's listen to her efficomen. I, Maxine Field, analyze hands. I am not a fortune teller, but a scientific analyzer of hands. I not only read the head, heart, fate, and lifelines, but can make judgments based on the general shape of the hand, the curve of the thumb, the smoothness of the knuckles, or even the way a certain individual uses his hands. Actually, this study is becoming more scientific. It is being used more and more by doctors as a diagnostic tool to reveal congenital heart problems or genetic defects. However, hand reading can still be fun. I have devised a game which makes it easy for anyone to learn. The game is called Touch, and it includes cards showing the different kinds of lines in the hand, as well as the different hand shapes. Using the cards from my game of Touch, today I will read the hands of the panel. Signed, Maxine Field. So, panel, if you have anything to hide, you better take your crayons and rearrange your lines while we listen to a few commercials out here. Now, panel, remember that these three ladies all claim to be Maxine Field, who can read hands, and we'll start the question with a lady who said, "Oh, goody," as soon as the whole thing started. Peggy, let's go with you.
Thank you. You know, believe it or not, I have the game Touch. It's really fun. Now, number 3, how can you tell a genetic defect from the hand?
Well, there are many ways by which you can do this, but one of the most apparent would be a simian line.
A what?
A simian line.
Is that mean a monkey?
Well, it's a fusing of the heart and head lines, and monkey.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garry Moore.
Hey there, fellas. Happy Friday. Thank you, and welcome to Tell the Truth. Now, our first guest today, I hope I haven't wrecked things here. Our first guest today is a palm reader who has devised a wonderful way for anybody at all to read his own palm. Now, as you see here, this is a print of a hand that happens to be my hand. Now, all I have to do to make this thing work is to compare it with a group of cards that come packed in a box, and I pick out from these specific cards the lines that match up with the lines on my hand. And I tried it before the show, and really it's remarkably accurate. Where's the book that was in here? Yeah, you see, after you've matched the lines up, you look into this little book called Touch, which is the name of the game. And it tells you about yourself, and it says here, my real name is T. Garrison Morfitt. I was born on January 31st. My wife is called Nell. I have 2 sons. I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I'm double jointed in my right thumb. And that's true. You want to see? Isn't that absolutely disgusting? I think so. Anyhow, it also goes on and says, you better hurry up and introduce the panel or we'll never get to play to Tell the Truth. So, let's meet the group.
Kitty Carlisle. Tom Poston. Peggy Cash. And Bill Cullen.
Well, I hope I didn't disturb things up here, but I don't think I did, because we're going to use them a little later on. But now let's meet the lady who can read hands.
Oh, I love that.